welcome to Luciana Talks. This is my podcast where I interview real people about anything between career, life, interesting people that have nice stories to share. Today, we're having a conversation with Alek Michejev. Did I say it right?
Yes, you did.
Alek Michejev. We've been working together in customer success for the past, I don't know how many years. 5, 6 years?
I'd say 6 at this point. Yeah.
6 years. And I thought he would be a great first guest for the Luciana Talks podcast because every time I have a new idea, he's the first one to jump in and help me with my crazy ideas. So I said, another crazy idea, why not invite someone that always supports me with my crazy ideas. Today, it's all about you, not about me. Do you prefer tea or coffee?
The usual answer is why not both, right? I usually try to have both, and my routine is around I start my day with a coffee, right? But I stop drinking coffee around noon or so, right? And that's when I usually transition to teas because tea's been pretty ingrained in the culture where I'm from. So it's a case of I'm very used to it, yeah. So I'll just keep drinking it. But coffee's a nice pickup.
I knew you wouldn't have a simple, straightforward answer to that, as usual. What is your favorite tea?
I'm really usually in the mood for black teas with a mix of spices. So if you think about chais, right, that stem from Asia or the Middle Eastern countries. So, a bit of cinnamon, a bit of nutmeg in your tea. That's usually the thing I like.
Yes, nice. Me too. I love cinnamon everywhere. Morning or night?
Absolutely a morning person these days. It used to be a night owl and night bird, but no, nothing beats waking up early when everyone's still asleep and you have this nice, pristine, quiet morning to yourself.
I agree. I think younger me would say I'm a night person, and the older I get, the more I appreciate waking up at 5 in the morning and getting things done before anybody else wakes up. Dream holiday destination?
So I haven't necessarily thought about potential new places, but my favorite destinations are always kind of like more remote, naturey places. For example, the trip I enjoyed the most recently was the trip we had in Iceland, right? It was like an amazing experience of seeing nature that is very atypical for what you usually see. And you just drive across and you don't see another car in like hours, right? So I want to explore potentially some of the nature around Asia because I haven't really been to many places there, but I haven't settled on a specific destination.
Okay, so you don't have a dream holiday destination, but Iceland was.
Iceland was definitely one of the highlights from what I've done so far.
Okay, and why?
It's kind of very almost alien landscape, right? That you don't see across many other destinations because it did not feel like anything I've explored around any other country before.
Favorite meal?
I'm a very simple person. Something that sticks to me even from childhood is the way my mom used to cook plov or pilaf in certain countries. It's basically like a spiced rice with some meat and vegetables. That's really it.
Very simple. Yeah. What's something small that makes your day?
Actually having the ability to tell someone is like, hey, I have a solution to your problem. So your crazy idea that you have can have this very simple and elegant thing that will make your life easier. And people go, oh, wow, thank you for this, right? And you're like, well, didn't take much of my time, right? But you're welcome.
Okay, so when you help somebody with something,
yeah,
we're going to talk about your own personal journey. Everyone's path is different. And I think that's what makes interesting, like when you are in the workplace and you are talking to people coming from different countries or that started out doing something and then it changes to something else in unexpected ways. For you, what was your first ever job?
During like the summer breaks in between uni and stuff, I did some bartending, I did some manual labor, everything that just to get ends meet, right? But my first proper job was actually the place I stayed for a long time, 11 years in a single company, right? And it was with a video gaming company that I was with, and I started just basically as technical support because I was into computers, I was into video games, and yeah, that's how I combined the two.
So you were a fan of video games, you love video games, and you got a job at a video game company.
Yes, in the most weird situation possible. So picture this, right? I've just finished my degree. I don't know what I want to do with my degree. I don't know what to do with my life. What's this career thing that people keep mentioning to me, right? So I'm just looking for any honestly office jobs right around the UK where I used to live at the time, and not having a lot of success working like odd jobs here and there just to make ends meet. And one of my friends from online, from video games, like, hey, did you know that they're recruiting, right, for support, like for this company of the game we both play, right? And I'm like, yeah, this is not never gonna happen. Well, threw my CV in. A few weeks later, get a phone call. A few weeks after that, I'm flying to Ireland for an interview, and I guess we can flash forward 17 years at this point.
Wow. And that's how you moved to Ireland
Yes,
because you got a job at this video game company.
specifically for the company that I was a massive fan of and never expected to even hear back from.
Amazing. And how old were you? Sorry for asking.
I'd say probably 21 at the time. So if you think of, I just finished basically my 3 years in university, right, and
Yeah.
was a fresh graduate and didn't know what to do with my life.
Yeah. Nice. And then
Mm-hmm.
you came to Ireland. That was how long ago?
16, 17 years,
17
something
years
like this.
ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And you stayed in this company for 11 years.
Yes.
And then what happened?
So, at a certain point of your life, you realize that not everything's can be done on passion. Not everything's always rainbows and unicorn, right? You kind of started getting disillusioned a bit with the adult world, and it was a case of like, I realized that yeah, maybe the reality does not live up to the dreams that I had, and I was thinking, well, I'm kind of stuck in this company. Don't mind moving at this point. And it was a situation where like there was a big transition within the company, right? And it was a good time to basically finish up what I was doing there and leave and explore something else.
And what did you do after?
After that, COVID started. So that was an interesting period of my life where I thought I was leaving one company with very marketable skills that I would be able to use straight away and something else, like, get a good job straight away. But I went through a situation where, because of COVID, most companies stopped recruiting temporarily because they simply did not know whether they were going back to the office, whether everything's going to be remote going on. Ultimately, that led to a small career pivot, and I got approached by a company called Nginx for a BDR position. I'm like, oh God, sales related. I've never done sales in my life. Would I be okay talking to people that I don't know?
And you were coming from a support role approached for a business development rep slash sales entry level role.
Yeah, so I was specifically in support, and at that kind of tail end of my tenure with the other company, I was moving more towards like project management, working a few technical bits with our DevOps people, right? So I was thinking, it's like, oh, hey, I'm up on the project management track or something like that. I could be, going that direction. Instead, I ended up in sales.
And would you say, I'm asking this because I know you, but would you say that, like, knowing you were an introvert and thinking like, would a sales role be the right fit for me, or did that cross your mind?
It did, but at the time I was also basically in no position to say no,
Okay.
right? So it was a case of like, I better make this work and see if I'm actually good at it or not.
Okay, and
Yeah.
I remember you've been very good at it, but then you came to Nginx. Nginx got acquired by F5, and then from there you got into customer success. Walk us through this.
So this was a situation where I'm usually a type of person that we'll probably touch on this later, right? But I like to not sit on problems. I like to try to address things. I like finding solutions, right? This is actually one of the things that keeps me going is if I see something wrong, I try to solve it regardless if it's supposed to be solved, if it's not feasible to solve, right? I'll try at least try my stab at it, right? We talked about this before. It's like, okay, when I'm talking to my wife, not everything is a problem that needs solving, right?
Yes.
Sometimes you just need to listen.
Yeah.
That's an issue. But it was a case that one of my account managers that I was working with, we were just chatting, catching up, and he started complaining about CS nonstop. He's like, oh my God, they're sending this to my customer. This will never work with our customers. What are they thinking? They're bombing my business opportunities. This is not sustainable, rah, 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 right? So I was like, well, we can technically help them with a few small solutions. So I approached the director of the team at the time and said, hey, we see this as an issue that's not working for either you or us. Can I help it anyway? And the director told me, no, I'm not going to accept your solution, but you should probably apply for the job that's going to open soon. And that's how I ended up in CS. And it
Yeah.
was a more natural fit than sales for me anyway.
And you joined customer success as a customer success manager, a customer facing role. And recently, last year, you moved to a different side of customer success, which is operations.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through it.
So, coming back to the introvert thing that we touched on, right? The most anxiety I feel in my role is the unknowns of customer calls, right? When you step in front of someone that you don't know, you never know what's going to happen in that call. You never know who's going to potentially show up. You have an idea what you're going to talk about it, right? But everything can pivot on a dime. And when discussing things with customers, you know that very well,
Yeah.
right? So I moved to operations because while I can do that job, it's less stressful for me to not be in front of customers, especially.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. I think like customer facing roles are definitely not for everybody. And I see a lot of people moving away, making a strategic move to do something different that is not customer facing and just being very successful at it, just like you. I think Alex now principal
Program manager.
program manager, principal customer success program manager. Did I
Yeah.
say it right?
No, we can say I am a principal program manager, and the program that I'm responsible for is customer success operations.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and from watching your work every day, I think you're thriving, and you seem happy and happier than you were last year in a customer-facing role.
I wouldn't say I was unhappy in the customer success role. It's more a case of I always thought more of myself thriving in that area, right? And that's the original track that I had in mind for myself, right? It's like managing projects, managing programs, right? So it was a natural fit, right? And it's not just my anxiety of talking to customers that was driving me towards it. I thought of, hey, this is potentially a better long-term fit.
So you said you moved from London to Ireland because you got a job at a video game company,
Mm-hmm.
and now you've been living in Ireland for 17 years.
Yeah.
You already have Irish citizenship at this stage, of course. But what is it about Ireland that you like the most? Let's start with that first. What is it about Ireland that you like the most?
What I like about Ireland the most is obviously the people, right? There is this certain thing of acceptance that Irish people have and curiosity about other cultures, right? That you don't necessarily see a lot of the times. Because my story of moving countries, right, is I grew up, so I was born in basically the USSR, right, as it was collapsing. I grew up in Lithuania, right, a small country on the coast of the Baltic Sea. And when I was finishing high school, Lithuania joined the EU, and I got this opportunity to actually go and study in the UK. But what I very quickly realized that I never felt welcome in the UK, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't outright nastiness or anything like that, but it was a case of, you instantly get put into a bucket of, oh, you're this immigrant from X country, right? Yeah, your place in society is this, and no, you cannot strive for more, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize that was kind of in store, but like 20 or something old, right? But if it's a market shift that I could feel straight away as soon as I moved to Ireland that I did not feel in the UK.
Yeah, I share this feeling of feeling accepted for who I am and appreciated for who I am and never judged for being a foreigner. But I also think that there is something about the fact that historically the Irish are used to moving to different countries because this wave of people moving to Ireland is a new thing. Historically, the Irish were the ones going to the US. The Irish were the ones going to Australia to pursue a better life. And in the last couple decades, this has shifted. And you see now a wave of people coming to Ireland or Irish people moving back to Ireland. There's more opportunity here than there was in the past. What is the hardest part about living in Ireland?
So most people would tell you it's the weather. What I think about is if you never get used to the good weather, you don't know what you're missing, right? So coming from the Baltics, I'm like, hey, it rains a tiny bit more than what I'm used to, right? But otherwise, it's all the same, right? What is a bit surprising to people when they learn about Ireland, but when they move it, right, is it is a country that's going through a lot of advancement very quick, right? So the services you would expect to be there cannot be there. For example, like, the public transport is absolutely atrocious in Ireland, right?
Oh.
And that's not something that a lot of people moving here would expect, because they're like, well, I'm moving to this completely metropolitan country, right? One of the richest countries in Europe at this point. But yeah, there's still gaps. But then you get your passport renewed in 2 days, right? Flat to your doorstep by post, and you're like, okay, there are benefits as well.
Yes, and I also, speaking of public services, but also the housing crisis. Once you get your house, then fine, you're good. But the process to buy your house or to find a nice place to live, even before being able to buy your house,
Mm-hmm.
it's a big struggle. So I think that's one of the downsides at the moment, at least.
It's the same problem, I would say, because the problem is not the current issue. The problem is the timeline that existed prior to the issue. Because I moved to Ireland right after the Celtic crisis, like 2008, right? So a bit before you. And it was a case of you could rent absolutely anything. There was no shortage of cheap, amazing rentals, right? We basically, me and a few buddies rented a fresh built, like detached 4-bedroom house for I think like 800 a month at that point, right? But it was a case of, because there was a housing surplus at that point after the Celtic Tiger collapse, and it was perfectly normal for everyone. But Ireland basically had not started building for the wave that they're experiencing right now till about a year ago.
What does a perfect weekend look like for you?
A perfect weekend used to be would be taking our bikes, taking our other sports equipment, and going outside somewhere, let's say Killarney, right, or Dingle, just onto the nature. For example, previously, one of the best weekends we had in Ireland with my wife Anna was we signed up for the Dingle Adventure Race, which is basically, it's a series of a kayaking and a run and a cycle, right? Then climbing a small mountain and then going back down. So if you think about it, how much you have to plan for it, right? It's a full weekend of activities culminating like a 4 or 5 hour race that you're participating with all the other people doing it. Obviously, things are going to change now with a small kid. We'll see
Yes,
how compatible that's going to be.
you have to add the seat for little Aria to cycle with you.
Already done.
Already done.
Yes.
Okay, you're always 100 steps ahead.
Mhm.
If money wasn't a concern, how would you spend your time?
Honestly, I would not change much. I do the work that I do because I legitimately enjoy some parts of it, right? Like the problem solving slash thinking, right area of it. There's a lot of grind to it, but if you think about it, right, everything that is worth doing has some sort of friction to it, right?
Yeah.
Things never just come easy instantly, right? So if money was not a concern, I would potentially just use more of that money on more experiences that we actually enjoy. But I don't think I would change much, honestly.
Amazing. That's a very good place to be in life.
Yeah. And I hope most people could say that at a certain point in their life as well. Recognize that's a bit of a privilege.
Yeah. How do you see yourself in 5 years' time? Work wise, just work wise.
Mm-hmm. Work wise, I want to be probably the person who is deciding, it's like, okay, no, this is what we're working on long term, and this is what we have to achieve along the way, right?
Yeah.
Instead of having visions that are half current, that are get passed and change all the time.
Okay. Have like long term solutions.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to be leading people or be this amazing C person that stands up in front of the crowd, right? I want to be the person that says, okay, I know what we want to accomplish is worthwhile. We know what we want to do. And yeah, let's lay out the road in front of us.
Get stuff done.
Yes.
Thank you for this conversation.
Thank you, Lucy.